Hey guys, in today's video I'm going to be solving a problem, and that problem is not having enough storage here in the back of my crew cab truck. This is my 2024 GMC Sierra 2500 HD. And you know, from the factory, it has some storage here under the seat. It has actually this nice partition. Some trucks I've had in the past didn't have any partition and things were just flying around and loose. GM does give you this storage partition under the rear seat, but it's kind of shallow. You know, it's not very deep. In fact, when I put these seats back down, you can see that really it only goes about half of the seat depth right there. And so I've always been very limited on what I can put under the seat. In fact, you can probably see that I've got a storage bag right here. This is a bed net, by the way, but it basically just lays loose under my seat right here because it won't fit in the factory storage under the seat. So I've always thought it would be really nice if I could deepen that storage box and make use of the entire depth of this rear seat right here. And so in today's video, I'm going to solve that problem by removing the factory storage box under the seat right here. And I'm going to be installing a gearbox. This is made by Husky Liners, the same company that makes all the great floor mats, you know, for trucks. And so this product will deepen the storage and give me full access to all the space that's under the rear seat here. Special thanks to Real Truck for providing this gearbox as a sample for the video. Well, let's jump right into the install for the product. Of course, the first step is I got to remove all my gear that's stored in the factory box and get access to the screws that are holding it in. All right, so here's what mine looks like emptied, including the goldfish gone. So it looks like I've got a plastic screw down here. This is a 10 millimeter, and it's pretty easy. You can do this one by hand. Now I noticed over here in the center, I've got this metal stud right here, but there was nothing on it. And so at first I thought I was missing the plastic knob with the nut on it right here. And then I discovered that it's actually attached to these rods right here for the jack. And so I don't know if it just never was fastened to begin with, or if I took this off and forgot to put it back. But regardless, this is the plastic knob with the nut that you're going to want to save, because it's going to reattach right here. And so if you can't find it, just see if it's attached to your jack poles right there. And then all the way here on the passenger side with the jack, it looks like I've got to remove the jack first and then take out the base. It looks like I've got another 1-2 right here, and that one is also a 10 millimeter. So I'm going to get all these removed, and then we'll see what it looks like completely taken out. And now let's pull out the new gearbox from Husky Liners and see how it compares. Okay, wow, so the gearbox is substantially larger. I turned the factory storage box the same orientation, so they're both the same direction right there. And just for comparison, I mean, check this out. Right at the top of the factory box, it was about 9 inches. On the floor, it was about, let's say, 6.5. And so just compare this over here. We're looking at 17 inches at the top and about 14.5. So I mean, really we're picking up about 8 more inches here with the gearbox. Of course, it's going to be the same width all the way across the back. And then height-wise, we're going to be a little bit taller, because if you remember, there was quite a bit of room between the storage box and the seat. This one's about 5 inches deep. And then over here on the gearbox, we're about 7 inches. So we're picking up basically about 2 inches of height and then about 8 inches of depth overall. And then on the passenger side with the jack, we're only picking up about 1 inch right here, because if you remember, the jack was installed inside of the factory box, and of course we still have to put the jack back, and they provision it to go outside of the storage under this cover right here, this flap. And so we're only picking up about 1 inch. This one's about 10.5 at the top, and then about 9 inches at the bottom. Now the gearbox is made out of plastic. It's got a little bit of flex to it, but rigid enough to be able to store everything nice and sturdy. And just like all their floor mats, you can see it is precision designed and engineered. It even has a little cutout for the bump there. It looks like it's got a ridge here running across for strength perhaps. And then it's got a little built-in divider right here made out of more of a foam that you can put in there if you want to separate the two sides. So that's really nice. The old box was plastic as well, but it's lined in carpet. I think I actually like the fact that this one doesn't have carpet, so that if anything, liquid were to spill, it's a lot easier to clean up. But let's go ahead and get this new box installed and see how everything fits. Okay, so first I'm going to reinstall the jack, and this time I'm going to install it before the storage box, because remember, the storage box itself is going to cover up the jack right here. Now I know for some that might be a concern, because if you ever need to use the jack, then you're gonna have to, of course, take out everything that's in your storage box, remove the storage box in order to get to the jack. For me, I don't mind it because, I'm thinking over the last 2 decades of owning different trucks, I can't think of a time where I've ever needed to use the factory jack that came with my trucks. I mean, really, the only time I think you would use it is if you were stranded on the side of the road and you had to change a flat tire. So it's, an emergency incident only. And so for me, not really a big deal, but I do want to call that out. And if that is a concern for you, I think you could probably take a Dremel tool and just cut an opening into the top of the storage bin to give you access. I'll take a look at that once I get it installed. But for most people, I don't think that's really a big concern. And then installing the new gearbox should be as easy as lining up that one stud here toward the middle. And then I'll tighten that down. I'm just checking fitment. Yeah, that fits really good. So I was a little concerned because on my floor mats right here, these are the GM factory floor mats right here. And it's kind of one monolithic piece that runs along the back. And there is a kind of a ridge on those factory mats that goes under the new storage bin, but it doesn't seem to impair it. It looks like it's going to stick up just a little bit on the edge, and I could take a Dremel tool, notch that out, but it doesn't seem to impair the storage bin because it still sits flat at the front right there. And I've still got plenty of room above the seats. And then last step is just to install that plastic knob with the nut attached to it that is also attached to the factory jack poles right there. And I'm just going to finger tighten this. And guys, concerning that ridge I was talking about on my GM factory floor mats, you can see how it falls on the box. And really, I think there's enough flex right here. You can see when I put pressure on it, it fills that gap pretty tight. I mean, I could come back with a Dremel tool and just notch that out, but I think I'm just gonna leave it for now and see how it sits. Now, if you've got other floor mats, I'll just give you a measurement off of the driver's seat right here. I'm going off of the actual mounts down here. It's a little soft with the carpet in front of it, so there's a little bit of flex right there, but I figure that'll be the same from truck to truck. And so the box falls right at about, I'd say 21 and a half inches. So if you've got another type of floor mat and you're concerned about a ridge or something right here on the floor mat interfering, at least that gives you a reference point. But I mean, guys, just check out how much storage I've got under my seat. I mean, at the beginning of the video when I was talking about solving the problem of adding more storage, this is what I was talking about. This is ginormous. I mean, you figure if the old storage box from the factory had about 6 inches across the bottom, and this one has 14, so about 8 inches larger. I mean, basically, this is over 100% larger right here, probably even more if you factor in the height there. So really impressive. I'm going to be able to fit a lot of different things here under my seat. I also want to point out just how precise the fit is of the storage box up against the truck. It just follows every curve and contour perfectly. I wouldn't expect anything less from Husky Liners because after all, they make all kinds of precision floor mats that fit all kinds of different vehicles. And the material it's made out of, it's nice and sturdy. I mean, I'm pressing down pretty hard right now and it's just barely flexing. Now here's a view from the passenger side where the jack is concealed back here. And so if that's a deal breaker for you, I do think you could take a Dremel tool and just notch that out. The edge does roll down, so it might weaken it just a little bit. I think they did that for strength, basically. But you could do that. For me, I'm just gonna leave this because, I mean, if I ever did need access to that jack, I've just got one thumb knob right there to unscrew, and then I just take the whole storage box out. I could probably even leave everything in the storage box. Now, as far as legroom goes, that was one of the questions I had. Do you lose any legroom with the gearbox installed? And I think for most of us as adults, we're gonna have our legs at about a 90-degree angle, and so our feet won't be anywhere close to the gearbox. But if I were to tuck up my legs, the back of my heels here, up against the storage box like this, I still have plenty of leg room. I mean, they recess the storage box by about 1.5 to 2 inches under the front lip of the seat right here, so it doesn't impair the leg room at all. All right, so I got the gearbox all loaded up with room to spare. I was able to fit everything that I had in the old storage box, plus the bed net, this air compressor right here. And this one really surprised me, guys. This is the B&W gooseneck kit right here. So it's got the goose ball, and the 2 safety chain anchor mounts. This actually just barely fits lengthwise there on the longest side underneath. So that's really impressive. Well, I'm going to call this a mission success. I mean, I can even fit my long golf umbrella just right here along the lip with that gap there. Guys, I am very pleased with the results here and all the storage that I picked up with the gearbox. I do want to mention, although I showed you this product here, my GMC Sierra, they do make the gearbox for most pickup trucks. In fact, if you have a Chevy Silverado, it's going to be essentially identical. They also make it for the Ford F-Series and Ram trucks. I'm going to include a link down below to the Real Truck website where you can put in your year, make, and model, and then it will show you the compatible gearbox for your truck. So I appreciate you using that link to help support the channel. Real quick, 2 things that I really like about Real Truck. First, their fitment is very accurate. So when you put in the specs on your truck, you know that whatever product you're looking at is going to fit the truck. And second, they're very quick to ship products. Oftentimes things are going to ship the same day, if not the very next business day. Guys, if you have any questions about the gearbox, definitely drop me a comment below and I'd be glad to answer it. As always, thanks for watching.